People often ask me about playing these Irish tunes. They seem so fast. And that people often ask about tips for learning how to play the tunes up to speed. And my suggestion is, instead of trying to learn the tune, learn the whole tune, and then speed it up once you know the tune, I would suggest learning it in much smaller sections, but quickly, and just learn the first few notes, or maybe one measure, one bar, and learn how to play that quickly, and then move on to the next bar and learn how to play that, and then put the two bars together and move on to the third phrase and build the tune up like that. Because if you learn it slowly and then try to speed up, you'll find a lot of what you learn, what you have learned, doesn't really apply, particularly with the bowing. Like if I play, we'll say 3 notes slowly. Oh, actually, that's 4 notes, isn't it? If I play 3 notes slowly, now the next note is going to start here. So I'll probably come back the other way. But if I play those notes quickly, now I've got all of this bow left, so I'll probably keep going. So right away, the bowing is going to be changed, unless you make a point of not changing it. But then you're going to find that you've learned a very unwieldy kind of bowing, and trying to put that into a speedy context is going to be very difficult. Another problem is the posture of your fingers actually changes when you move them quickly. If you're playing these notes at a slow speed, you'll probably place your finger quite deliberately when it's time to play each note. But when you're playing quickly, you kind of skip through the notes. And just like your body changes posture, if you're walking, we'll say you're having a casual stroll through the woods, your body will be in one posture. But then if you suddenly realize you're late and you have to speed up and walk very quickly, even though you're still walking, your body will be in a different position. You change your posture to accommodate the speed which you want to move. And it's the same with your fingers. So if you learn the phrases in the beginning at a faster pace, you'll probably have much more success when it comes to playing the whole tune at the faster pace. I'll give you an example of what I mean. We'll say the Sligo Maid, that's a fairly well-known tune. And a normal pace would be something like... Now, for most traditional players, that's not very fast. That would be kind of a standard medium pace. But of course, if you don't play this kind of music very much, it's really tricky to get all those notes in that short space of time. So we take the first few notes. So maybe play them slowly just to get your bearings, as it were. So that's what we're going to have to do. Now we'll speed them up. Okay, so we've got those few notes. So what comes after that? So again, we know what we have to do. So we'll play them a bit quicker now. And you see how I'm playing them. For a while I play it and stop, and then I start playing it just over and over and over again in kind of a circular way. I find that's a really good method to kind of ingrain the rhythm of the phrase into you. So we've got that phrase together. Now we go back and play our first one. And then what's the second one? So now we put the two together. What comes after that? So practice playing those a little bit faster. So now we've got three phrases there. So the first one is the second one, the third one. So we'll try putting them all together. And then the next one, funnily enough, should sound familiar because it's the opening one. So we've already done that. So we know how to play that already. And you'll find that as you go through these tunes, certain pieces, phrases, they repeat. And it's so easy to remember them because you've already practiced it, got it together quickly, and you just kind of slot it in. Oh, it's that one again. Or you might notice it's the same as the first bar except for the last note. Or it's the same as the first bar except for the middle note. Or it goes up to the D instead of down to the D. Like it might go, one time you might see, and then the next time you come across a bar later on in the tune that goes, and you think, oh yeah, first one went to the high D, and then this other one goes, but other than that, it's the same bar. So all you have to remember is that one note difference. And you start thinking in groups of notes. And an image I sometimes use, it's like learning words. You know, we learn how to spell words, but when we pronounce the word, we don't usually maintain a consciousness of the spelling, not in the forefront of our mind. What we're more concerned with is the sound of that word, that group of letters. So we say cat. We don't say C-A-T, you know. Although when the dog is around, I do say W-A-L-K instead of saying walk. But that's another story. So when the sound of the word is represented by those letters, by those spellings, but it's not the same. It doesn't matter how fast you say C-A-T, it's not going to come out sounding like cat. So you have to learn the spellings, the notes, and you have to learn the sound, the pronunciation, cat. So I often look at these tunes as a series of words. And if you imagine you were learning a poem, you would probably read through the whole poem once or twice to kind of get the gist of it all. But then when you learn the poem in order to recite it later, you would probably start at the first line. You would learn the first line or the first few words of the first line. Once upon a time, so-and-so came and lived here. And you'd learn that phrase or that sentence first. Then the next line would be maybe something to do with how long he lived there. For many years he lived in the woods. So you'd learn that second line. Then you go back and you'd say the first line and the second line. Then you'd build up the third line, the fourth line. So now you've got the first verse. Okay, let's move on to the second verse now. You build it up that way. You wouldn't go through it time and time and time again, very slowly, and then expect that eventually you'll be able to say it in a more conversational, recitational manner. You have to actually practice that. So I see the equivalent of speaking, or I see speaking as an equivalent of playing the tunes. I look at the notes as letters, but I look at the groups of notes like words. I don't think of 5 letters. I think of one word. Like, I don't know how many notes that is. 5 notes, 6 notes. I just think it as one sound. And then I might hear it in another tune. And it's almost the same sound. It's like here and there. They're almost the same. They have different meanings, opposite meanings. These and those. We have these small changes in sounds, and we recognize them quite easily in words. And if you start to look at the tunes the same way, you'll recognize those small differences quite easily in notes as well. So there are a few ideas that might help you learn these tunes to play at the typical pace that these tunes are designed to be played at. You have to remember, if you play a reel really slowly, it's not a reel anymore. It's become something else. There are slower tunes that are designed to be played slowly. But the reels, jigs, slides, polkas, they're tunes to dance to. That's why they were put together. And they're supposed to lift your spirits to such an extent, it feels as if they're lifting your body too. And it takes energy to transmit that feeling. And some of that energy comes from the speed of the tune. Not all of it, but the speed is an important ingredient. So if the tune is played really slowly, it kind of loses its purpose. So I hope that's helpful, and see you later.